Hey guys, today's topic for our first episode is going to be Battle of the Putties. Here's the question I want to answer. Why? Why would anybody ever use a lab putty other than anaxdent Matrix Form 70 or Ergamix 70, both of which we happen to sell? I know I might be a little biased, but today I'm going to try each a sample of a few different putties that are popular in the dental lab world. I'm going to be seeing how they mix, how they handle. I'm going to be making a matrix of each one on this model. And then I'm going to trim that model to see how it trims, number one, and also what kind of detail and texture I pick up, if I pick all of it up from the model or just a little bit. So that's what we are going to test today. Okay, before we get started, I wanted to take this opportunity while you're still listening to tell you some important information about working with silicone putty. So one of the most frequent issues that we hear with putty is, hey guys, it's not setting up. I don't know what I did wrong, or it's not setting up completely. With silicone putties, especially with Matrix Form 70, our brand, you cannot mix this with gloves. With putty to putty silicones, you cannot wear gloves. So with the putty to paste silicones, you are supposed to wear them. With putty to putty or not. If you wear gloves, it can actually react with the silicone and cause it not to firm up. You're not going to have gloves on, but you might have lotion on your hands. Lotion could also cause it not to set up. That's probably the most common problem that we hear about. So wash your hands with oil-free soap, not lotion soap. Wash your hands with oil-free soap, Dawn, something like that, and then mix your putty. So those two things out of the way. Now we can get forward with the test. anaxdent Matrix Form 70. So I've already pre-measured. It's 1-to-1 putty, none of that gross paste that you squirt out of a tube. So I'm going to take a scoop of A and a scoop of B, and I'm going to start mixing. Ooh, oh, it feels so good. Never have you felt putty that mixes quite like this. Okay, so I'm going to mix until it gets to a consistent color. I'm going to do that for all of them, not just the ones I prefer. It's easy to handle. I like it. And just like Yara Urbanski, one of our instructors, used to say, you make a sausage. I want to see how much texture I can get on the crowns and the gingiva. I get real impatient at this part because I just want to take it off, but you can't take it off too fast. It's really easy to take off. Ooh-wee. So I've got all the texture from the gingiva. I can see the texture from the crowns. There's no tearing interproximally, and there were some deep interproximal areas. So that looks really good. Next, we're going to trim it. So what you'll notice when you trim Matrix Form 70 is that when you run your finger along what you've trimmed, there's not a sandy feeling. And the reason is anaxdent took out all of that sandy kind of filler. Anyway, great trimming. Love it. Next, we're going to try another product that we have at anaxdent North America called Lascod Ergamix 70. Ergamix is less expensive than Matrix Form 70, which is why we picked it up not too long ago. So I'm going to mix it first. It's a little different color. It's like a rusty red. It is really soft when I mix it. So maybe that's why it's called Ergamix. It's like comfortable to mix, easy to mix. I could imagine that if you're mixing a large volume of it for like a flask case or something like that, it might just make it easier to get it mixed fast enough. We'll get set really fast. Good in some cases. What we've heard from customers is that the Ergamix is a little bit more sensitive to body temperature, that when your hands are warm, it can cause it to set up a little faster. And I'm nervous doing this video, so my hands are probably warm. But I mean, it's already set. That was really fast. Okay, we've had enough time, so let's check it out. I mean, it's a really good replica of the texture. Yeah, actually, it's really good. I would say the detail is not quite as high as the Matrix Form 70. That may be because it was a little stiff by the time I got it on the matrix. Let's try trimming it. I'm gonna do the same thing, just trim a little bit off the length, and I can feel there's a little bit more filler. So I do feel a little bit more filler than the Matrix Form 70, but I mean, it's still really smooth. It feels a little drier. That may be because of the filler. Both really easy to mix. Both got really good detail. There is better detail capture interproximally with the Matrix Form 70, slightly. So, okay, GC Lab Putty. It's like a blue and yellow. It's fun. It's not white. It's softer, kind of like the Ergamix. It is nice to have the contrasting colors of yellow and blue because I can really see if it's all one color or not. Making sure I secure it for detail. Ooh, it actually looks really good. There's lots of really nice detail on the teeth and on the gingiva. It looks a little less precise interproximally, but not by much. I mean, it's really good detail. Let's trim it. I like this. Ooh, it's real easy to trim. And it's pretty smooth. I'd say this actually feels a lot like Matrix Form 70. Okay, next one is Pala 65 from Kulzer. I've heard good things about this. Let's see. I like the color. 65 refers to the shore hardness. The shore hardness is the stiffness of the putty. And Matrix Form 70, Ergamix 70, those are 70 shore hardness. So if you're familiar with like Siltech, like the old blue stuff with the paste, that was like 90 or 95 shore hardness. We're going to test a couple of those too. But those are really stiff. And the thought always was that's how you hold the shape, is by having it to be so stiff that you can't misshape it. What we know now is that 70 is kind of the magic number to get the shape memory that you want and the rebound that you want when it's pulled, and just ease of divesting. It's really easy to mix. 65 is probably just fine. anaxdent makes a Matrix Form 60 that is only for like a high definition wash. So this is between the 60 and the 70. This may be their high definition wash at Kulzer. Oh yeah, Matrix Form 70 was completely smooth and really uniform. The other putties have all had a little bit of like texture, or just they missed a spot here and there. So that's the only major difference I'm seeing right now. Let's cut this one. I do love the pink color. It's a little harder to trim. It feels pretty good, but it wasn't as easy to trim. And it didn't trim real smooth. It has like, I don't know, it doesn't trim as smoothly as the others I've done so far. Now we're gonna try Kulzer's Pala 90, and it's blue. So, ooh. Okay, so I've mixed other 90 putties and they all feel gross. Mix is pretty easy. Now this is gonna be a lot stiffer when it's cured. It's had enough time to set. Let's check it out. I mean, I definitely would say that this isn't your high detail putty, but it's 90 sure, so I guess that's to be expected. It's definitely a little rough around the edges on the interproximals. I see like little bitty bubbles all along the area in the interproximal. I didn't see that in any of the others. I see roughness on the gingiva, but not really defined texture. So I would say that this is not the putty for detail at all. There is a big difference between the 65 and the 90. This is really flexible. This is not. I would think this would be easier to tear. So I could see maybe using 2 layers. Okay, now we're gonna trim the Pala 90. Oh, it just feels like sand. Oh, and it feels like sand when I touch it too. I don't like it. Sorry, Kulzer. Okay, now to my favorite name putty of the experiment, Flexitime. Easy putty. Woo. Okay, so it mixes really easy. It actually is a pretty color. Actually, I felt like that I mixed that one up the quickest. Maybe it's because the color actually is hard to see whenever you are truly done mixing or not, but whatever. It does kind of smell good, but like in the way erasers smell good, not like in the way food smells good. Ooh, Flexitime. But it's good. I mean, it's lots of detail. It's, I'd say, too soft for use on its own, just like the 65, but it's nice. Okay, so I'm going to trim this. It feels really flexible, so, like I said, so I don't know how easy this is going to be to trim, and it's really not. But it does feel smooth. I don't feel a lot of filler. It feels really pure. It's just way too flexible, so this would definitely be like a wash layer, or you'd have to make it really thick. Zhermack Zetalabor 95. It's blue, and it's just really sticky and thin, so I don't know. Y'all may need to just get over thinking you need 95 shore hardness. It's gross. Change my mind. Geez, it's like white. Is that normal? Okay. I mean, it was really easy to mix. They just have such a different consistency, the 90 shores do. Okay, it's all set. So let's remove this. Again, it's stiffer. Like, I mean, it's stiffer, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like a big difference. It actually doesn't feel like it springs back as well as the Matrix Form 70 at all. The detail is good though. Like, it's better than the Kulzer 90, and it's supposedly harder. I don't feel any difference at all. In fact, the Kulzer feels stiffer than the 95 Zhermack. Okay, let's trim it. It feels sandy. Like, you can feel a difference when you cut through those 95 putties. It's sandy, but it's not as sandy as the Kulzer. For a 95, maybe it's okay. All right, so now we're going to try one again that I had not heard of until now, called Dent-E-Con Stencil Scannable 90. So it's blue, like that seems to be the color for 90s, 95s. Oh, I feel like it's setting up. So I'm going to get it on there. Oh, it's setting up. Oh. And it's done. Like, oh. Yeah, sorry. I'm sure they're going to see this. They're going to be so mad at me, but that is not good. This one doesn't make it to round 2. I saved this one for last because based on its name, it's going to be the best thing I've ever seen in my life. It is Zhermack Elite HD Plus. Okay, I mean, I wouldn't know if I'd give it the plus so far, but maybe an Elite. See about the HD. Feels good. It's a little soft. It looks like it's frowning. Oh. It's done. Let's see. Sorry, Zhermack, but that's probably the most LD putty we've tried today. And I don't know what shore hardness is actually. It does feel stiffer than like a 65 or 70. So it might, but it's called HD. I don't think so. And I think this is a clinical product. So maybe this is HD for clinical, but for lab, no, this would not cut it. Okay, I'm going to trim it. See what we think. Ooh, there's the Elite. It feels real good when you trim it. And it does not feel sandy. Yeah, it does a little bit. But overall, I mean, it feels like nice elasticity. It trims great. But I already like ripped it and I barely moved it. So never mind. So the first thing I wanted to look at was detail. How much detail do you get? Now, understanding I'm looking at Matrix Form 70, Matrix Form 60 is our high detail putty, but I'm looking to test just basic lab putties, all-purpose lab putties, where you would use it in one layer. So the detail, for sure, Matrix Form 70 did the best job. I didn't see there were probably 3 or 4 that were pretty good detail on texture, but it was the interproximals where Matrix Form 70 really was set apart. All the other putties had uneven edges to the interproximal areas, and the Matrix Form 70 is completely smooth and uniform. So it wins out on detail. I'd say the second place, the texture really came through nicely on the Ergamix 70 as well. but a little better than the Ergamix 70 was this Pala 65. Now, I think that's not a fair comparison because the Pala 65 is too flexible on its own. So once you take that out, yeah, the Ergamix and the Matrix Form 70 pretty much first and second. Now, I will give honorable mention, very honorable mention to GC Lab Putty. The GC Lab Putty was nice detail. Okay, so the second thing I liked to check was how it trimmed, how the different materials trim. So I don't know if this is the word, trimmability, but you'll know what I mean. You know what I mean. So one thing became super clear when I started mixing all these blue, like higher shore hardness putties. They are sandy, and I did not like it. I mean, when I cut into it, I felt, especially on the Zhermack and the Zetalabor 95, man, they were really sandy. So I would definitely say a lot of the putties, probably half the putties I tried today, felt very similar when they were trimming. Yeah, you know, as trimmability goes, I think the only ones I did not like were the 95s. The others, nice. Okay, so handling. Handling to me is about how easy it is to mix, how it feels when you mix it, and how if you have the right amount of working time and not too little, not too much. All of them handled really well. The 95 shore hardness or a little bit yuckier. I mean, I don't know if that matters to y'all, but I don't like it. So it didn't feel as good when I was mixing it. The Ergamix, I think, set up faster than some. This one, the Stencil, man, I mean, I had no working time at all. So I really did not like that. That's kind of the only one that failed our test, actually. The Ergamix 70 handles with a real short mixing time when your hands are hot. So you would either just have to cool them off with some cool water or something if you needed that working time, or just go with it if you want it to mix fast. The Matrix Form 70 was really easy to use, but I have made I've worked with this material for a long time. So probably also an unfair comparison. I'm real familiar with the working time. Yeah, as far as handling, I think they all get thumbs up. Okay, so we tried pretty much everything that we asked, and this is what you guys were using. I gotta say, my favorite is still Matrix Form 70. I honestly did not have any kind of feeling that one in this group was better than Matrix Form 70. Price is always a concern, obviously. That's why we carry two different price point items. There is a difference between these two, between the Matrix Form 70 and the Ergamix, but they're both fantastic putties, and we have many, many happy customers who love these, and some prefer one over the other. I gotta give one shout out, though. The GC Lab Putty is pretty good. Like, I am impressed. I think it comes in kind of smaller volumes, so it might end up costing more over time, and it definitely didn't outperform the Matrix Form 70. But I think of all of them, this was probably the biggest surprise. I really liked it. It felt like really good quality. So I give second place to GC Lab Putty. And the first place is shared by these little guys right here. I mean, it's my show. What did you expect? If you're interested in trying Matrix Form 70, you can call us anytime and just make sure and request a free sample in your next order. All right, so that's it for now. I hope you guys learned something. And you ever have questions about Matrix Form 70, Ergamix 70, or now like any of these, let me know. Be sure and request a free sample of Matrix Form 70 in your next order if you have not tried it before. And we look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye.